Evening, this is the Newcastle Board of Fire District #1 monthly meeting, September 19th. I'd like to start the meeting by a pledge. Christine, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence for our deceased and people that are not feeling well, please. Thank you. Okay, first thing on the agenda. Done the two attendance. We have two excused absences. And we have the correspondence.
Under correspondence, did the letter go to Millwood, congratulating them on their 100th anniversary?
I sent the letter to Dwight over the weekend.
I didn't send it, but I will do that tonight. I didn't send
I
it.
can print it for you if you'd like.
I think that would be
Yeah,
appropriate, and then we
it's
can all
very
see
good.
it.
I didn't,
Because
Okay.
their celebration was
Yeah,
over the
absolutely.
weekend,
Sure. Okay,
and then the chief asked for a letter to be sent just recently,
Yeah, tonight.
earlier for OSHA.
yeah. I was gonna ask him if he has any, I was gonna ask him if he has any preferred wording or anything we should highlight in the letter. So I think I'd like to do this like maybe tomorrow after we have a chance to talk to him.
You want me to handle it?
Yeah, would you?
And this way it'll get out.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
just get it out. Okay. Okay, chief's report. We have that chief's report submitted here. I'm not gonna read the entire thing. The chief is not here tonight. Bottom line, he is asking for a reimbursement of $801.74 for water, Gatorade, shoreline reels for the to keep AC power in the trucks. PO box and inspection supplies for our inspection. I'd like to have a motion to reimburse the chief $801.74, please.
I make the motion.
All right, Ed, all right, thank you very much. Motion seconded. Also, he has alarms. He says 37 alarms in this last month, and on par with 2023. He's got dates for physicals for the firefighters on October 29th. And he's got a series of receipts, bills, etc. And there are two firefighters that are, I think, being proposed for membership in the patrol company. I only have documentation for one right now, so I'd like to hold this in abeyance because I know there's another one being inspected later tonight. So let me just put this off to the side. We'll go on to something else.
I only see one per.
Yeah. do you
Yeah, I
want
only
to do
see the one.
Reese? Is Reese, you want to take care of him because his paperwork is here?
We can either do that or do them both at the same time. I don't really care.
Okay, because he's independent. You said patrol.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was going, okay, so you're right, there's the ones for patrol. I thought they were independent, I thought there were two for patrol, I think this was one of them. Okay, so let's do this one. This one gentleman is Reese, Reese Wang, I'm not sure which is the first. And she's going into the independent fire company. See if I can see, she's 17 and she lives within in the fire district. And her parent has approved this for membership. And we've got an approved and assigned mentor. So I'd like to get a motion to approve her for probationary membership.
I make a motion to approve Reese.
Very good. And thank you, sir. All right, so I have this, you have the original, so you can sign that. Okay,
I will scan it to the chief.
awesome. Thank you, sir. And then okay, and she's also passed the other requirements. Okay, I'll put this off to the side here. All right, chief's report done. Approval of expenditures. Katie, you want to lead us in that?
That was the chief's expenditures, I'm sorry.
Approval of minutes. I'm sorry, I was jumping ahead. Okay, approval of minutes. Anybody have any comments about the minutes sent or received from last month?
No.
Ed or Nancy, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from last month?
Motion to approve the minutes from last month.
Okay, thank you. Nancy? would you-
Second,
Okay.
I also want to add the July 15th special meeting minutes were not approved last month. They were, so did everybody have a chance to review those so we can approve
July,
them?
what was the
From
date?
July 15th.
Okay, I think we'll have to put that off right now. I don't have them in front of me. I don't know.
I'm here, so I remember.
Okay.
Okay, so that'll be next month? Okay.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, and, all those in favor of approving the minutes from last month, please say aye.
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 All those objecting? Okay, no objections. Okay, let's see. Treasurer's report, I think we're there now.
Okay, so I did just want to mention, that we have moved the QuickBooks from the desktop version to an online version, which is much safer, so, you know, you're not facing, you know, data wipeout if something happens to the laptop. And it also allows you to be able to look at it, if anybody wants to pull data or poke around, you have that ability. Also, we're trying to institute a purchase order. Last I spoke to Charles about it, he wanted to try to build something in Excel. So hopefully we will roll that out next month at some point.
Okay. Hi. Chief, do you have anything to say? We just approved your reimbursement and your minutes. Is there anything you'd like to add?
What time meeting starts?
6:30?
I thought 6:30 was the work sessions and the meeting starts at 7.
We had moved it forward about 6 months ago or so. So I'll hand it over to you if you have any comments on your report.
One thing that wasn't on there, First Assistant Chief Greg Lang resigned as chief, dealing with some outside matters, so he stepped down as chief, but it will stay on as a firefighter. As Commissioner Frank and Commissioner Smith know, we met with the project team last Friday to get a little clarity with regards to the fact that the current bays are not going to be untouched as we have been led to believe as this project progresses. So I'd really like to ask the board to make sure that you review the plans one final time to make sure there's no other operational issues that are going to arise, because again, you know, where we move the rescue for 2, 3, 4 months is a big concern. And keeping it down in that lower bay, moving it forward 18 inches while they build this temporary wall is just not a feasible. It's a tight enough fit to thread the needle to back that truck in on a 9 o'clock in the morning on a bright sunny day. 2 o'clock in the morning, backing it in with 3 inches of clearance at the front and the rear is just not reasonable.
So, Ed, jump in if you have any comments, but, basically what the chief is saying is the construction is gonna require a 3-foot deep wall coming out from the driver's side rear of the rescue, going towards the mechanics room, still 3 feet out from the existing wall. 3 feet out from the mechanics room wall, it's going to turn left and go past the mechanics room and stop and go back into where the hose storage area is. So that 3-foot depth is gonna be removed from us, and the length up to the rear, the window behind the rear of the truck, up to the front of the leading edge of that window is going to be boxed off. So it gives us very little room for error in there, storing the
I would
truck in
actually
that
say
same
gives
place.
us no room for error.
It's,
Not even
yeah,
to
that's probably,
soften it, that there's a little room.
okay. So, yeah, it's almost unfeasible, but, until we have another place to, move the truck, and this breaking through the wall is, according to the minutes or the meeting that we had with the, contractor, it's gonna be in the, August timeframe of next year. So we're thinking, jump in also if I'm making some statements here. We're thinking maybe they'll have some space for us in the expansion, the new expansion.
Can I jump in here?
Okay, first, I have
Okay.
a few caveats to that.
Okay, so in speaking with the airback system and reviewing NFPA code, you cannot put any apparatus in any building or
Without-
bay without,
extraction.
without, an exhaust system in
Yeah,
there.
right.
So,
Yeah, we have to get this to mesh just right.
Yes, I mean, there's a couple of factors that, one, Joe needed to find out if we even would be able to. And I don't know when he
Yeah.
anticipates that that's gonna be a July decision that they've made enough room, which is really a problem. Because, I mean, that's gonna give us no time to figure out an alternative. But the caveats to that were exactly that the exhaust capture system has to be in place, shoreline power has to be in place, power for the electric doors has to be in place. And a plan of how we get firefighters in their gear from the old building to the new building and be able to respond. So that would tie into the fact that are we going to need some type of a security system in place that we can keep up to open the door, so we're not leaving the building wide open just for us to come grab the truck.
Right.
And moving and protecting the truck during the work, because Joe said point blank, they're still gonna be working in that building. So do we cover it with a tarp? I mean, moving it in and out every day is just not a feasible option. And I gotta admit, I was very surprised when, because we had been led to believe all along that the only wall that was gonna be breached was behind the mechanics room door, that they weren't entering into that bay area. And, you know, so I mean, that's why I'm asking the board to make sure that there's no more little hidden gems like that throughout the process that we're going to have to scramble at the last minute.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know what we could do. I mean, that's quite a number of feet from the front of the window to essentially the rear of the interior window in the mechanics room. 20 feet or something like that, they're taking that wall,
Mhm.
you know, it's a wide hallway into the expansion.
So my concern is just that for a couple of years, we've been working under one premise, so there was a misunderstanding or a change, either of which has been, either been a misunderstanding for a number of years, or there was some type of a change to the plans when they said, oh, you know, we're really gonna need to do this instead of that, that the board was unaware of.
I remember this, but I didn't ever hear about this wall until we had this discussion with them. I remember that they were gonna take part of the mechanics room and part of the area behind the rescue, excuse me. I didn't see this wall in the plans until this recent drawing came in. So that's a new thing. Yeah, it makes sense to have a wall to protect the existing building from falling concrete blocks or, you know,
You
demolition
know, they said
hammers.
it's a temporary wall, so I mean, that would lead me to believe it's coming back down at some
Oh,
point.
sure, yeah,
But
that was your thought too, right? It's coming
That's
down.
right.
So it's just to protect the truck and the existing building from demolition hammers and dust and so on like that. But still, in the interim, we have a near contact point between the back of the bumper and this wall. So I don't know, I'm wondering if it could be shallower, less deep. I don't know.
he was very specific as to where they're going to
Yeah.
reach through, which was the edge of that window,
Yep.
which mirrored where the middle of that
Beam.
ductwork
Yep.
is, where that, I'll call it a junction box, I don't know what that electric connection is.
It's a.
From that point to the
heat
rear was going to be,
Yeah, he absolutely said that, absolutely. I was unaware of the wall until we had this conversation with him though. So, all right, we're gonna have to be on top of this and figure out if there's any chance that we can have, as Nancy points out, the exhaust extraction and as you point out, the AC power and the security system for the doors and for the truck, of course. And access for the firefighters at all hours of the day and night.
well,
But if they're
also-
working in there, it's gonna be a tough hurdle.
well, also, according to the information we were provided, that that air vac system is not included.
Yeah.
It's on the district and that's
Yep.
extremely expensive. So where's that money coming from? Cause it's gonna have to be in place before that truck is moved,
Yeah, it's in August.
right? So
we
has
will
that
have-
been budgeted for or no?
I don't know. We're gonna have to make sure that's in the budget for 2025.
Yes, and just along those lines, it's in my report, when they replaced the hose that was melted.
Yeah.
This existing system is approaching 15 years.
Yeah.
It is exhausted, it's, to say the least,
Yeah.
its life, period, and
Okay.
it's going to start to fail. That's from the tech.
Mhm.
So that's also another, expense that we may incur. But this, and they have it spec'd out here, this is very expensive, the system, as you know. And it's just,
Did the
where's
tech,
the budget for it?
did the tech that came to replace those hoses, did he indicate that the parts are still available to keep this system running, the existing system? Or as he says, it's end of life, or what did he say?
He said it's end of life.
Wow.
Now, I'm sure there's parts available. I don't know. I'm not the tech,
Sure.
but, he just said it's on its last legs.
That's
So-
what it seems to me. All right, well, I think we're gonna have to find that money for maintenance of the existing one. And going forward, we're gonna have to put that into the 2025 budget for the new one. If it's, I mean, it's actually, it's on us, it's not, you know.
Well, you can't use the new bays that
Yeah.
are being built until that system
Right.
is in.
The only thing I'm
installed.
wondering is if we can get the contractor, the exhaust system contractor, to install part of it just to accommodate the rescue. I mean, we're gonna have to reach out to them and find out if that's even a feasible thing, you know, just,
Well, depending upon the cost, it could be a biddable item.
Yeah.
But
So,
I think you also need to find out from Joe.
Yep.
You know, we're gonna designate a bay for the rescue. Well, what if the rescue needs to be moved over a bay because they're doing the epoxy or something? So I mean,
Sure.
I'm very hesitant to endorse partially doing something. I mean, in my mind.
Okay.
This falls under similar to finishing work. And I think we, or the district, needs to prioritize what finishing work is done, unless there's some structural reason that they can't. Those items that we discussed should be on their first priority for finishing in those bays, and then they can always paint after, they can do the
Yep.
epoxy floor after, you know, something along those lines. But, you know, I think those have to have a high priority in conversations with them sooner rather than later.
Yeah, okay, that's good info.
just when you say breakthrough into the workshop.
Yeah.
Okay,
Here's a
there
little
is,
picture.
well, just clarification, there is a box as you walk in the back on the right toward the floor. Is that for the horn? What is that?
Oh,
for?
yeah, that's for the siren. It's going to be
Siren?
moved elsewhere onto the new building eventually.
Okay.
But right now, it's not in the way of
It
this.
won't be in the
no.
way? Okay,
If, here's just a real quick picture. So that box you're talking about is over in that corner,
correct,
and this is where they're breaking through, and this is that wall that we're talking about,
okay,
and there's a rescue area. Right, so that's out of our way right now.
Okay.
And the pole is being moved and the siren will be put
okay,
elsewhere.
thanks,
Yeah,
thanks. I
so
didn't-
that's a good catch. Okay, Katie, did you have anything else you wanted to say on, budget,
No,
finance?
or a budget, I don't, can we check registers?
Yeah, we need to approve that.
Okay.
Yep.
Before we get to that, Paul, do you have another, because there was one, new member application in your report?
The other ones the companies hadn't voted on, but we do have a pipeline now of 3 other new members. So you have Lisa's application tonight. There's 2 other really students and 1 potential really student.
Okay, so are any
The
others?
company-
No
I've
others
done
are
the
ready.
background checks, but the companies still need to do their investigation and interview, so nothing for them yet.
I think Patrol is doing their interview tonight.
It's gonna be too late to, I asked them to accelerate it before tonight, but so.
Okay,
They'll just have to get, but I did get their, the parents of the 2 students to send me a note with their permission that we can get them set up with gear. They can do anything but juggle chainsaws. We kind of joke around with it. So the parents are aware that they're not voted in yet, but they're, you know, they're okay for the kids to participate on a limited basis. So at least we can keep them engaged and doing a few things.
okay, good. Okay, so it goes. All right, the check, I'm just looking through these pages here for the check register. I don't see
And
any-
then Nancy, I think you and I should discuss the procedure for, because I
Insurance?
haven't entered them into the computer yet.
Okay.
So I'll need the application back to enter them into Red Alert, and then I'll give the application back to you since you keep, I don't have any of their
Okay.
applicants, like you and I set up instead of keeping anything with socials or
Right.
anything in the chief's office, you have all the original.
In
And
their
then I'll
file?
give it back to you. And I also told the companies, if any of the company secretaries happen to keep any of these for their records, that they have to be destroyed or returned to us,
Okay.
that they can keep the information. Cause in the packet, there's the information sheet for name, address, email. That's all that they can keep. They can't keep anything beyond that outside of the locked commissioner's room.
Okay, so Christine has the authorized, you signed it, application for
Okay.
Reese.
So I'll
Okay.
take that back. enter it into red alert, assign them the number, then I'll return it to you for security into the.
Okay, and then the insurance, you want me to handle that,
If you
or we
wouldn't
can
mind,
do it
that'd be
together?
great.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so has everybody had a chance to look at the check, register that, Katie sent out a few days ago? Actually, I think Christine sent out, right? From Katie, yeah, okay. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, so I'd like to get a motion to, just one down. Katie, are all of these checks on this current check register, check detail report?
No.
Okay, so there's another one?
I sent this to Christine on
Okay.
Monday and
All right.
these checks came after
But
that.
these are, what we're approving is for August anyway. It's not for these checks, these are
Correct.
September
No,
anyway.
these
Okay.
checks are not on this check
Got it.
register. You would have signed these checks already.
Yep. Okay, are you okay with
Yes.
the motion?
Yeah.
Thanks. So, Nancy, would you make a
I
motion?
make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Thank you. Ed, would you be willing? Okay, thank you, sir. All those in favor of approving the report, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed, please say nay. Okay, thank you. That has been approved. Okay, so now next, committee reports. Mike is excused and Charlie's excused, so I guess I'm gonna start here. We found a sulfuric, actually, one of the chiefs, one of the ex-chiefs as well, found a sulfuric smell in one of the bays, and it turned out the batteries were shot in the ladder truck. So we were luckily able to get the ladder up to our repair service in Mount Kisco. He replaced the batteries and the truck is now back in service. 144 has had a long and arduous time with its brakes recently. It's too long for me to describe it all, but basically we've had a problem with the brakes. We've now got a good handle on it, but it's still not back in service. And as soon as those brakes are installed and everything's working right, we're gonna have one of our commercial driver licensees tested. And the chief is in that mix too. And we'll make sure it's roadworthy and safe. Basically, the problem is the emergency brake or the parking brake, for lack of a better term, was not working correctly. So we're getting that squared away and
Just to clarify, the brake was working properly. The brake shoes that were installed
Yep.
were for a smaller vehicle, lower weight, so the emergency brake was holding as far as it could, but the shoes were not designed for the size of the truck.
right, and that was determined by the second repair shop that is our go-to guy. There's a spring-loaded ladder clamp on 146 that the spring-loaded bar, had bent. So it was not allowing the clamp to work correctly. We've got a new bar, it just has to be installed. And at some point in the very near future, we'll get that installed by a service shop, hopefully the one that's doing the brakes. We had a load test done on the generator and it was working fine with the exception of a very slight leak on the water pump pulley. I'm sorry, on the water pump bearing. And I'm going to approve that repair because it will fail when we least need it to fail. So that's something that we have to get done. There also was a low engine temperature on the annunciator panel just inside the back door. And it turned out the block heater had not been plugged in and that was intended. It was intentionally left unplugged so it didn't cause a problem with the fluid leaking out of the pump. So hopefully in the next couple of days, we're gonna get that pump changed out. And I just want to alert the board that in the very near future, probably early next year, it's not urgent, it's not imminent, but some of the doors and some of the shroud that goes around the pump, the engine itself, or the generator itself, are rusting pretty badly. So we're gonna have to change that out, but I don't know how much it's gonna cost. I gotta get an estimate on that. And maybe we can get that done next year and put it in our budget for that. The tires on the rescue are at the 7-year threshold and they need to be replaced. I'll be doing that in the next week or so. They're still safe, it's just that there's um, an FPA guideline that they recommend that they be changed for safety. As I think I mentioned, I know I mentioned last month in the report that we are looking, the chief staff is looking at a new chief's vehicle. It's going to be a pickup truck. And I've got 7 bidders from the state bid process. One of them is looking very good. They've got a good price, comparatively good price, and one of them didn't send a bid at all. They just replied saying, hey, we'd like to have a conversation. So I'm not even including them. So that's where we are. Oh, and I'm gonna give the Excel files to the chief, probably tonight. And we can start working through that and see if everything is on the bid spec that we're looking for, or that they are looking for. Communications, is really nothing going on right now, other than maybe one of the pagers, the newer pagers that we bought, might need to be touched by the radio shop, because I think 4 of them have the current, they call it a code plug, which means the data, the frequencies and the required tones and so on. That's installed in the latest 4, but one of the 5 that we bought is not up to that spec yet, so we may have
That
to.
other one is with
Yeah.
chief line,
So
so
we're-
I'll deal with that one.
Sure, no urgency on that right now. And as far as projects, I think we've kind of covered that. There's gonna be a breach to the wall in the August timeframe of 2025 with a 3-foot wall for keeping dust to a minimum in the existing building. We have what was the name of that? A planning board meeting on Tuesday, next Tuesday, yeah?
It's the 24th.
Yeah, the 24th, next week, okay. And that's basically for for them to hear and discuss our permit application to use the Elm Street lot for our temporary office trailer. They had a bunch of questions, whether it's gonna, how the potable water is gonna be handled and how the lighting, how much lighting is there. So we have a whole bunch of questions that was submitted to the town today. We met their deadline and hopefully they have a chance to review it and hopefully be not too much of a problem for them to approve it.
Is that gonna cost us anything? Because it wasn't done,
No, they're waiving any fees.
they are,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, I
Is that-
think
I just have a question.
Go ahead.
Is that it with the project? Cause I have a couple of questions.
that's all I was gonna talk about, but if you have
Okay.
other questions, please.
The trees, since we got the
Yep.
email from Mr. Carlock,
Yeah.
are all the neighbors going to be informed
I think
when they're coming down? They should all be
we
notified.
will notify them in advance.
Excuse me, not only are they informed, but Greg Carlock has asked for another tree to be cut down because he feels it's dangerous to his new garage.
Shocking.
Yeah, so, we have a good relationship with him, and whatever he wants, I would do.
And he's given us free rein to
Well,
take down,
I was just gonna say, is why at our expense? Is it his tree or the district
we
tree?
have to find out. I don't think. we
Yeah,
own
I
that.
wouldn't
I'm
cut
not
his tree
sure.
down.
Not sure.
But yeah, but I mean, I understand we're trying to be good neighbors, but I mean, we also have the drainage that's been utilized by Mr. Pollock for years
Yeah.
on our property, and, there's, while he's immediately next door, we've
He's
got
a
a
good
lot of
fellow.
other
Like I
neighbors
said,
that we've got to keep
No,
playing
no.
nice with, the people on
New
Elm
members,
Street.
we could vote him.
I mean, they deserve weekly updates to where I think, because their life's gonna be turned upside down from parking, even that perspective. I mean, Kevin made a flippant comment the other night, or it might have been Joe, actually, when we met him, said that he doesn't know where the tree guys are gonna park, because his guys are gonna be here first and take all the spots on the street. You guys were there for that conversation. I mean,
Well,
that's,
He was unaware that the tree guys are parking.
they're not all parking there. Whoever gets here first parks on Elm Street. The other ones have to go up and park.
I haven't
at
noticed
Walgreens.
that. There's parking going on Elm Street. I hadn't
Sure.
noticed. Okay, I don't,
If you look at the street now, then go look at it tomorrow.
yeah.
There'll be a lot more cars parked down there, but
Okay.
putting aside that, the fact is, the parking on Elm Street has always been an issue.
Sure.
It's been raised by the neighbors for years. That's when we started letting Westchester Tree Life use it. It kind of soothed things for a while. And a former chairman said, no, we can't offer it to some people, but not other people, so put them back on the street. That created a whole nother kerfuffle. And So I mean, yes, well, I understand that Mr. Carlock has a tree that he thinks should be taken down. I don't think it's necessarily in our purview to take it down because again, if we take a tree down as part of the project, don't we also have to pay into the tree bank to cover the cost of that?
We're gonna have to cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah,
We're
and plus,
gonna have to look at
and
that.
again, $10 here, $100 here, this
Yeah.
budget is tight. So if Mr. Carlock has a tree, he should get his own tree person, if it's his tree.
Yep.
And deal with it at his expense.
Yeah, all he actually said was, if you want to take it down, you have my permission.
Well, that was for the one in the front.
Yeah,
He's got another one in the back.
now
or
he's
something.
talking about
Yeah.
the one near his garage.
Right.
If it's his tree, he deals with it, in my opinion.
All right.
I just want to make sure all the neighbors are informed that this is going to happen. There are a lot of trees, as you
Sure.
can see, that have been marked. And the other thing, we have a,
43, I think, in total.
There's a lot.
There's 40 coming down and 3 staying.
we have a very good member here who, really should not be, questioned on a daily basis, by vendors as to how to get into the firehouse, as questions regarding the, project. So if the contractors could be notified, given all your contact information and how things work, rather than going and, bothering, he's sitting right here, Owen, at the gas station, while he's at work. It's not his job to be, the conduit between the contractors and the fire
We
department.
were, I think Owen and I were both surprised at those guys trying to get in and do something, was it Monday or Tuesday? Yeah.
Because he's in the middle and
Yeah,
he
he's in the
shouldn't
middle.
be,
Sure, he
you
should
know.
not be. So, I'm gonna
No
have a word
offense,
with,
Owen,
I immediately called one of the project managers and he was unaware too. So they've got to start using the project manager as their go-to person and get us aware in a timely fashion,
Right.
because we can't be there for them at the drop of a
Well, and
hat.
Owen shouldn't have to be at
I'm
work
not
trying to
saying Owen.
scramble. No, but this happened, you know, looking for people, trying to find numbers,
I'm not saying
etc.
no one should be involved in the process.
No,
The
He
the
shouldn't be.
project manager should be reaching out to us and we will coordinate getting the door open for them, whether it's by a firefighter that happens to be here or that can be here. That's
Good.
the way it's gotta go, or a commissioner, you know, it's
Right.
gotta be done that way.
And my final thing, and I know this is going to upset people, but this firehouse that's going to be built is going to be here for a long time,
Yep.
probably long after I'm dead. And it's going to go through a number of changes, so it'll first have volunteer firemen there, then it will probably have a combo department, and ultimately, the way things are going, a paid department. So this building should be built with everything that people now and in the future need.
Agreed.
We've talked about it before. I've actually spent a good amount of time. I actually went to 6 fire departments, some paid, some volunteer, to specifically look at their decon area. I did go to Peekskill.
Nice.
Did you speak to the men up in Peekskill, Ed, when you were there, the chief
I
or the
did
fireman?
not.
Okay.
I walked through to see what it was like.
Okay, so I bring that up because I did speak to the fireman there, I spoke to the chief. Bob Mitchell did do that building, okay? Their decon area will be very similar to this one, where you'll have a shower and a bathroom that you'd have to walk through the bays and into a public area. Okay, I don't think that's acceptable. Before the ground is broken over here, there should be a bathroom, a toilet in the area when people come back from a fire and are deconning. There's a shower, put a toilet there, the plumbing, everything is there. Okay, it's not. Go on over and look at Millwood, okay? They have shower, close the door, toilet and a shower, right there. You don't have to,
I'm sorry to interrupt, is it considered the warm zone as you get off the truck, the toilet is in the
no,
warm
it's
zone?
in, once you go into the shower, it's right there.
So
So I
that's
guess,
kind of-
yeah,
Yeah.
but, you know, I think it's a lot. Just think of your own lives.
Mhm.
You come back from fighting a fire, 4 hours, you've been in your gear, you have to take it off. You know, you go into a shower, you have to get redressed, and then you have to walk through 3 bays, maybe 4, and go into an area where the public is.
Yeah.
So I really I'm requesting that area be changed to include toilet facilities for the firefighters. I mean, when I spoke to the chief in Peekskill, he said that would be the one change that they would make. They missed that opportunity. I actually found, and you could take a look at it, this is an article done by Bob Mitchell, where there's a shower and there are restrooms. So it can be done and it should be done.
We'll have to see. We'll give them a call and work with him
If
and
you want to
official.
see it,
you know, understand.
it just, that is an article by Bob.
Yep.
I just think it's something, after
That's right.
really,
At this early time, I think it makes good sense. It's probably gonna require what's called a change order, but I think it makes good sense and,
it's all
think,
open space.
I think, ex-commissioner, Zezzi for bringing it up a couple of months ago. And unfortunately, it was not in the plans. And had we seen this, we would have approved
Well,
it for
and
sure.
here's,
Let me just say something very brief on this. I think if you went over the middle of the firehouse,
Yeah.
you got a quick tour, show up off and set up. Literally within 10 minutes, you'll look at our plans and say, it's disgraceful. They have as you come in the back bay, there's a bathroom and shower. As you go upstairs to the locker room is exactly the way it should be. And when you walk in there, you're gonna be, I think, be amazed at our plans. And I just don't think it's acceptable. I brought this up numerous occasions.
well, before anything is finalized, so I know the plans are finalized, but that's a miss, okay? And speak to, Bob
Yeah.
Build Purchase, okay? I was over there, but I couldn't go in because they had a bad accident on the hutch. But I will go there. But just take a look, as again, I went to 6, different firehouses, all have decon areas, all have bathrooms with showers. Just look here, down at Center Street, you have a shower and a bathroom, same area. Go right over there, shower and a bathroom. I really think it should be done, and I'm requesting that it be
I
done.
think we're going to have to talk to Bob, and, if it incurs, another change, money, whatever, we're just gonna have to do that, because it makes good sense. Makes good.
Paul, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it definitely makes a lot more sense, particularly even after we were chatting last night at Westchester Chiefs. You know, the ultimate goal of decon is obviously decontaminating the firefighter, but also containing
Right,
what they're exposing other people to. And like even they said, when I raised the question about, well, could you put the gear in the back of a pickup truck and not worry about bagging it? Afterwards, talking to Chief Reese from, Fairview, you know, he said, think about it though, now you're driving along with that gear, air drying in the back, and you're spreading more across, you know, whatever area you're traversing, so. You know, from a perspective of, you come back from a fire, you're gonna strip down, be great to be able to use the bathroom right in that
Right.
decontamination area. Than to have to strip down out of your turnout gear, because you're supposed to take that out while contaminated. Run across the bay to run back to use the bathroom, then to jump in the shower.
but you had to clean yourself off too, before you ran across, so, I mean, to me, it just makes sense, I'm requesting that it be done. And I think it's for the betterment not only of, you know, safer for the firefighters, but for the building. We're spending a lot of money right now, do it right, and think of the future, period, because to do it later, it's gonna take a lot more money.
1 second. Okay, you done?
I'm done.
I just briefly, I did bring this up a number of times. Actually, I brought you over and showed you the plans. Again, I've worked in a number of firehouses. I've been a volunteer in several firehouses. And I just can't understand when you come into a decontamination area or a shower or locker room, and you have to use the bathroom facilities. You have to leave that area, and you look at the plans, Ed, you gotta walk all the way to the front area, I don't know what you call it, a lobby area by the elevator, to use the bathroom. It just doesn't make any common sense to do that. So like the commissioner says, he says, it really should be changed, and if you walk over to Millwood or go to Millwood, literally in 10 minutes, you'll understand what's going on. I encourage you, walk and drive you over there. Thanks.
Sure.
And buy lunch too?
We'll have that for later.
Yeah.
Talking to Bob
We have
Mitchell
to.
about
We
this
have
yet
to.
again.
We have to.
Yeah, I
Let's
mean,
Let's
and-
do that.
Yeah,
And
we
here's
have to
his
do it.
design, so I mean, this is,
Yeah.
I think this was a firehouse out in Illinois or something, but, you know. I'm requesting that it be done,
Yeah.
the chief thinks it should be done, a number of firefighters have talked about it. So I just would like to bring that to your attention, and I'm making that
On
request.
this document, and thank you for providing it, on this document, it's talking about hot zone showers, which makes sense, because you're not fully decontaminated, so it's not even really warm area, you're
Right,
still,
unless you're hosed off outside.
that
It
gets you
it
down to
depends.
warm maybe.
It could be
maybe.
0
I mean,
degrees too,
if you've got decontamination on your arms, that's still.
yes, but we picked up some good
Okay.
ideas.
Yeah,
Yes,
it was
they
a
have.
good meeting.
Actually, you're answering my questions now that I have at the end, so hopefully I can cut it short. The other thing that I mentioned, this is used by our community in times of emergency. It has been used by Con Edison in the past. We have public officials that use this as a staging area. And it just has to be adequate for everything, not only the progression of paid personnel, but people coming in here. So I appreciate you looking at it.
We're gonna actually, absolutely talk to, the architect about it and see how we can change the current roadmap to include that in our
Even if
design.
it's 2 bathrooms, you know, you don't have, I don't know how many showers.
We'll
are
have to see
planned
what
in there.
space allows, but, and there's,
Right.
you know, I have no problem doing this now. I absolutely have no problem doing this now. But at the same time, once it's built, we still can make changes. Not gonna be
Understood.
free, but we can,
Right.
of course, no argument. But let's see what we can get involved in this now, get a
Right.
bathroom instituted now,
Right,
If I could
and
offer
see
a
how much we can
suggestion how to
get
work it.
done.
Basically, just tell the architect, we want a commode in the shower area. Don't ask if it can be done, should it be done, tell him what we want.
Yeah, we're paying the bills, yeah. Good point.
Well, again, because we have heard, you know, that there are design flaws in all the firehouses, you know, people aren't crazy with certain things and stuff like that. We shouldn't be talked out of this because of their opinion. What we want, this is what we want done, and it should be done.
right, it just
Unless
makes
there's some
sense.
structural reason that it cannot be done, which I highly doubt, you're basically in a shower area that has plumbing,
Yeah.
there should be a reason.
All right,
Maybe contact Rick Santone, we'll get asking for pictures.
Well, when I drive Ed over and buy him lunch, I can take pictures myself.
Aren't you retired? What?
Are you retired? Yeah.
No, but thank you. I did do my research and I think that
good.
it's
Okay,
the best thing to be done.
Ed, are you prepared to give your report?
Well, you pretty much did it, so,
Sorry.
yeah.
Well, do you have any icing you can add to it?
Well, the only.
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
The only thing I would add is that if anybody is interested, 7 o'clock in town, there's gonna be a site development plan application for the fire district to be held in front of the planning board, 7 p.m. And it's open to the public, anybody can come. There's also, you could sign up for access via Zoom. If anybody's interested, I have all the information.
Anything else?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We've gone through everything.
Okay. Commissioner Roush is on an excused absence. Did Christine, did he send you anything that he wants to bring up? Nancy, does he, yeah, did he give you anything else to bring up?
No, just house I have.
Okay, Commissioner Soldo, same thing. Nobody has any report from them? Okay. Chief, do you have anything pending that would require Mike or Charlie? I mean, anything we got to bring to his attention, their attention?
You know, I mean, we're gonna be ordering the turnout gear
Yeah.
that's budgeted for this year, but
Okay.
I don't really need Commissioner Solo for that. It's
Okay.
just, you know, when the bill comes.
Yeah.
It's already budgeted for, so it's nothing, we're going out any
Okay.
extraneous expense.
Okey-doke, thanks. Commissioner Zezzi?
I forgot to mention, so all the minutes from 2021 to 2023 are now in minute books in there. I set one up for 24, so all you had to do is print out.
I actually ordered and they were delivered across the street. I don't know if they've made it there
Everything
yet.
got picked up for me, and I brought one
Okay,
package in front of your door this afternoon.
yeah, there was like paper and binders and stuff, because I was going to do the same, but thank you.
Oh, I
for
sent
doing
out an
that.
email. It's all done and the
I-
policies are in there.
Well, we can
Yeah.
use the binders later.
Yeah, so all the plumbing work that we had pending and the electrical work has been done complete. The stove is up now and working. The Ansel system's been, reinstalled because they had to take it out. As I mentioned, the, burnt hose, and the Magna Grip repair has been complete. Nozzles and different filters that had to be replaced, were replaced. We worked yesterday and a couple of days prior to that to get quotes to replace the lights for the back parking lot. We're just waiting on one more price to come in.
These are on the
So
back
on
of the
the,
building?
yeah, so it
Okay.
won't be dark back there. They will be LEDs.
And the day-night sensors?
Yes,
Okay.
we're gonna do that. So that's in the works and hopefully we can get that going next week. Insurance is ongoing. We did have an incident, thanks to Chief Iden, who sent out information on what happens when mutual aid companies respond in your territory. And about 2 hours later, we actually had an incident where mutual aid ladder was damaged while on scene here at a fire. So all the insurance paperwork, has been filed and we're working with Millwood. It was their truck, on that. As I mentioned in an email, I'll handle all the insurance for everyday ongoing, matters here in the district, and then Christine can handle it for the
Well,
project.
on that topic, I'm wondering how that's going to work, because she's not authorized to make changes or sign off or make, make changes to our insurance, so you're gonna have to be the signer for insurance issues on the whole house. Yeah, everything in the firehouse. I don't see how we can
Well,
delegate it
how
to
is
somebody
it
else.
going, well, with regard to the project,
Yeah, I think you.
well, what
are
happened
in
with
charge.
that is that paperwork was going over to Guyon.
And,
I didn't have any of that, I didn't have knowledge of any of it
well,
until
it
it
was,
was
she
gone.
had said it at the meeting, that she was
I
going to
didn't
send
hear-
it
I
during
didn't
that
hear it.
meeting.
I really didn't hear it.
Okay.
Charlie didn't hear it,
Well, it was in the,
Um,
it's in the
but
report.
we'll have to work that out,
Okay.
because,
So the point though, hang on one, okay, I don't know if he was raising his hand or cleaning his glasses. So anyway, I think Nancy, maybe we can reconsider this, because we can't have two people making insurance policy and changes and payments and so on. It would be quite convoluted,
we'll
so,
have to have a conversation.
okay, let's
on
do that, let's do
Yeah,
that,
we'll
because
do
I think, I think you're you've been the point person, you've been doing a good job, and I think you just have to, expand your horizons, because it's a big job coming up.
Well, it is,
There's
and,
issues.
so we'll talk about that later
Okay,
on, but
sure.
let's have a conversation on that. Medical physicals, as, Paul had said,
Mm-hmm.
it's scheduled for October 29th.
Actually 27th, I got my dates on.
Oh,
That's
27th?
Sunday the 27th, yeah.
Okay, Paul, myself, and Interstate have been in conversation about the various, mandates that are going to be coming up with the new regulations. There is a component that we can put in place, I don't know whether or not we're gonna do it this year, for mental wellness. It's going to be a requirement, and we are going to incorporate that with the physical schedule for next year.
Is that a requirement pushed
It's,
onto us, or are we
it's
going
part
to
of
make
the,
it?
it's part of the
Part of the
requirements,
institution.
Okay,
yes.
So what we're contemplating, and I'm still waiting to catch up to, with Interstate to kind of get a better understanding as to what it's actually,
Right,
the way that I'm envisioning it, the physicals are set up at the different stations, and we've got the partitions, so you have some privacy. My thought process is that if it's just a matter of sitting down, chatting with somebody, 2 minutes, whatever it might be, very similar to when you actually visit the doctor at the end of your physical,
Mhm.
that we make it compulsory for all members.
Yeah.
This way you do away with,
Let's go over to see the doctor.
this way everyone has to go. If you want to talk to the doctor and say, look, this is really a problem, or you just want to go, hi, how are you? Can I get you a cup of coffee? Nobody's the wiser, and hopefully if someone needs to talk to somebody, there's no stigmata with doing it.
and we can also arrange for that person to speak with the, designee who will be there at a later date. Cause we do know that the macho
yeah.
may come in.
Is this aspect of physicals something that we could do locally at the members' convenience with a local practitioner, as opposed to necessarily with Interstate?
Well, Interstate's offering it. I don't know. We'd have to talk to them, but that will be an additional expense. So,
I understand, I'm just thinking well, Interstate's gonna charge us for this, it's an upcharge for that feature, right?
right,
But my point is, this would allow the individual, if they feel necessarily that they wanna talk to a professional, they could do it at their mutual convenience outside of the firehouse, and then nobody knows.
well, I think if somebody has a situation like that, we absolutely should handle that.
Yeah, and I think this.
Absolutely
I'll say
take care of it.
Training that's gonna occur is basically just an introduction. So, Dwight, if you're, would you like to talk to somebody? I've got a
Come on,
colleague I could refer you to.
Right.
So, as well,
Come on,
You're chairman.
we're all friends
you
here. please.
accepted that position. That shows a little imbalance. No, but from the perspective of, this is not going to be a treatment.
Yeah.
Picture again from the physical medical doctor.
Yeah.
Dwight, your blood pressure is really kind of high. I really want you to go see somebody.
It is,
It could be, if it's the higher during the meetings when I'm talking, I bet too.
that's my
So
point
then
exactly.
when you've got but then for the mental health aspect of it, it seems like, Dwight, it really sounds like there's something going on here. Could we set up time to talk? Because now a lot of them do it via Zoom, or this person may refer them. So, look, let's have a conversation. I think there's somebody that, you know, you benefit from talking to.
Sure.
Because then this way, if they feel that the person is dealing with something that may impede their ability to properly protect themselves or their fellow firefighters on a fire ground, it'll be very similar to, remember the old red tag, you know, where somebody's, you couldn't respond until you saw your medical doctor, who then would sign a letter to send it to Interstate. It's the same process that we've built into for mental health.
Okay,
Because
don't,
next to cancer, mental health is becoming another big issue within the
Right.
first responder community.
don't misunderstand. I'm just asking the question. I'm not trying to guide the ship here.
No, it will, what we're saying is it is a component
Yeah.
for next year.
Sure.
So we're talking about, I don't know whether we're going to do that, is have this person come in October. But we just want to let you know that it's out there and it will be an additional charge going forward.
And we'll get the information from Barbara to make an educated decision, but I think in response to your thought is, yes, if somebody really, you know, wants to go see their own private person, obviously, any way we can facilitate that within HIPAA and not violate their confidentiality, sure. But my thought process is making this a compulsory exercise for the department. Someone who may be not necessarily inclined to think they're gonna go see, need to go see somebody, may just be sitting there talking to a stranger, and that could make a difference, or it could make them say, you know what? Maybe I should go talk to somebody, because we've kind of, I feel comfortable that we've forced the issue to give the person every opportunity, except taking them by the hand and taking them to see somebody.
Argument. Okay. Anything else?
Yes, so legal contract and review. In preparing for the budget, the last couple of weeks, the Mount Kisco, protection contract. When reading it, it says that we're responsible for not only fire protection, but also EMS BLS service. We don't run that out of this firehouse. So, I contacted Mike Legori, who got back to me yesterday. And I said to him, hopefully we're not paying for an ambulance service in that area because we don't provide it. I don't know who covers there. If it's not Mount Kisco, if Chappaqua is doing it, that's their responsibility. But, I'm hoping that maybe that amount can come down a little bit. Mike was gonna look into it. I didn't hear back from him today. He's been a little busy. So I just want to let you know that that contract was signed at ends, in 2027, and we've been paying all along. So I'm hoping that the EMS portion was not included in that. If it was, we'll
I've
try to
never
get
heard
it
this
back.
before. No.
It's actually in the contract
Wow.
that was signed by the district.
Okay,
So
that was
That's-
probably instituted some years ago, right?
it was
Yeah.
instituted and it was renewed, so it was signed recently. It's a 5-year contract. And then fire department liaison, Paul, how's that working?
We didn't talk today.
No.
We little felt alone.
So
No,
there's
it's-
a lot of progress that's been made. And things are working out well.
Okay, anything, that you might, have that Charlie might have wanted to bring up, do you know?
No.
Okay, okay. All right, old business. What do we have on old business? District policies and discussions. What's it?
Well, here, I'll make it easy. I distributed infection control policy, which we will need to purchase supplies and equipment for, and an exposure control and decon policy, same thing. I spent a lot of time on it. I went to other departments, got their input, we talked, we collaborated. Paul looked at them. He felt that those were fine and adequate for the needs of this department. Ed and Dwight, did you take a look at them?
I did note, I think in an email that I was looking at a few of them. The ones that I
Did you
looked
look
at.
at
there's one that that Dwight asked me to look at, I'm still looking at it.
Well, these were done already. It's just they're submitted for approval.
Right,
Okay, so,
The ones I'm looking at were adopted on, 07, right, and actually revised in 08. So I didn't see, I took these right off of our website.
well, could
So,
I just make a suggestion?
please.
The policies that I distributed, I worked on them and, again, I'm not patting myself on the back, but it took a lot of time to get these two done. I distributed them to the chief. He had no problem with them. These have to be moved forward and approved. The last one was done in, I don't know, it's almost 23 years old. Nothing was updated during COVID. So,
Which one are you referring to? That's
the
20 years old?
infection control,
Okay, right.
okay? I
You
mean,
even had it back then.
one of them is 1999.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get at least, well, I want these two to move forward and get them approved. They do have to go to the membership, these two. Right, Paul? Okay, that's another 30 days. They have to be put in place. Okay, the others that I redid and actually didn't even have to redo. One of them, we need a little input from. This is right from what Mike Legori did. The budget process, anti-fraud, the Board of Fire Commissioner policy and the secretary policy. It's all pursuant to law. So let's get those in place. They don't have to go to the membership. They just have to be done and put them up on the site instead of putting them off another month.
I got three: budget, anti-fraud, secretary. What was the fourth one?
Okay, I did the infection control policy,
I'm sorry.
exposure code control and decon, the budget process, which is mandated by law, anti-fraud, the Board of Fire Commissioner policy, the secretary policy. I also did the purchasing and procurement policy. Again, we took the town's policy, but that just doesn't meet our our needs because it incorporates a lot of other things that we just don't have. It's not practical for this board or the district. And we don't utilize some of the things that they use or would need to purchase. We wouldn't need to purchase some of those things. The only thing that I did ask on that one was for Charles and Katie to take a look at as far as the purchasing thresholds were with regard to price quotes, going out to bid, contract, getting different contracts, et cetera. I haven't heard back, so I don't know where that is. But we need to get these moving and get them in place. The district spent $3,000 for Mike Legori to review 71 policies he submitted back, okay? And so far that I know of, the chief and myself are the only two looking at them and doing
No, it's
anything.
not quite accurate. I haven't made lots of progress, but I have done several. And I've made some notes on some of them, so I
Well,
will.
then where are they? Let's
Yeah,
get
there
them
you go.
out.
I will distribute my notes, this week. No, by the end of next week. Yeah,
If I could just ask, Dwight, you mentioned that you're referring to the website to look at policies. When I did my initial review of those 18, I put together a list of the ones that still needed to be reviewed. Because I know on one of the notes that you had sent that you were looking at the FAST policy.
Mhm.
And we don't have a FAST team. It was one we didn't need to look at. So my list was very specific as to mandated by law, policies you had to have that I had not done. So I think that might make your work a little bit easier to make sure you're not reinventing the wheel and looking at a policy that we already did.
agreed, okay. So I will make that my next to the highest priority. The first one will be getting a bathroom in the new building.
Now we're getting 144 back, then we'll get.
All right, it'll be my third priority.
Well, can I ask that each commissioner take 3 policies off the list that we
That's
spent
right.
$3,000 for and get them moving?
That's what I think I had recommended, that we each take one, even do one a month. You know, we'd have,
Hey, Dwight, I'm sorry, and I've been trying to be quiet about it. I reviewed 18 policies in 48 hours and gave them back to you with annotated comments. The fact that the board can't take 1 or 2 each and turn them around in 24 to 48 hours. I mean, I'm not retired. I've got a full-time job. I'm running a fire department all at the same time, yet I could take the time to do it. The fact that we're kicking this around and that Commissioner Zezzi's the only one who's, and anytime she sends me something to review, within an hour, 2 hours, it's returned, yep, this looks good, or here's a couple of comments and thoughts. You know, it's really not fair that the bulk of the work I did for the board, and now the little bit that was remaining, you guys haven't touched.
but I would say that's a little over exaggerating. We have
Okay,
touched
Dwight,
it, but-
it's been since May.
Yeah, I agree. We have done some work on it. We have not finished our work. We have to step it up. I'm not arguing that. You're completely right.
These policies have gone over years.
I understand that. I know, you were one of
5,
the,
6 years,
you were one of the,
and we still
Tip
don't
of the
have
sword.
an alcohol and drug policy in place.
Here we do,
Well,
'cause I wrote it
Okay. I'd like to see it.
but it's fairly
on
new.
the website.
I know you're busy taking it in for lunch.
Exactly, but no, but.
well,
Yeah,
here's the
drug
thing,
policies
before we
on
get
the
into that, because we have a
website.
budget meeting. What about the policies that I sent out? What do we do with those? I want to get the infection control and the exposure, control and decomp, policy that you took a look at out to the membership. Can we do that? Have you guys reviewed them?
On file there, I'm sorry. I don't know if I reviewed that. Like I said a few moments ago, I will get them, my review of them to you before the end of next week. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. I'm sorry, I don't have it here in front of me.
Okay, then what about the budget process, anti-fraud, the Board of Fire Commissioner policy, the secretary policy, purchasing policy we can't do because that hasn't been done yet. What about those?
Well, it sounds like we have more than just one or two to review each. So Nancy, I've said this a couple of times now, I will do my share by the end of next week, before the end of next week.
And I just
will
wanna-
review these.
Okay,
So, I mean, you're harping on it, but I'm telling you, I will do it. So.
I don't
that's
think I'm
enough.
harping on it, but by
Well, you
review.
brought it up now 3 times here, 2 times here in the meeting. So I
Okay,
said
well,
I
this
will
is the
do it.
fourth time. I
I'll do it.
reviewed these. I think by review, we mean everybody take a different policy, not the ones that
No,
somebody's
no.
already done. And then review them, do what you need to do and distribute them to the rest of the board. Otherwise, paying $3,000 was a waste of money. So the
Okay.
policies that I distributed, nothing's happening with them. Correct? Am I correct?
I would say that's an over exaggeration. There's not nothing. We are working on them. I don't know what's working on one. I'm assuming that Charlie and Mike are working on them. So let's agree that we'll individually get some done by the end of next week. We'll get them in and we'll submit them to the remainder of the board and see what ones we can get
Nancy,
for
those-
distribution to the
ones
board,
that
to the
you worked
membership.
on that I.
Yes, Paul, what were you saying?
The ones that you worked on that I reviewed, they still have to go to Mike Labori for his steel approval.
Right, but we can't now because the board hasn't, the rest of the board.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
I've approved it from an operational perspective, that it's definitely feasible and workable. Commissioners, as he's put it together from various other ones, can we move the needle forward and send those policies to Mike Labori for his stamp? And then as a board, your legal counsel is gonna say yea or nay to a policy. You're ready to accept the 70 some odd that he sent initially. So take that, let's move it forward instead of delaying it further for you guys to review something that still has to go to Michael. Let it go to Michael, let him make his comments, and if everything passes muster, then you've moved it forward.
That's probably a good option. All right, so, will you send them to Michael or who you
I'll
want
be
them?
glad, I'll send it to him
Okay.
tonight because these have to be done.
We understand, Nancy, thank you. We will
Sorry,
be.
are those the infection
Yes,
control and exposure,
And
those
decon,
two?
yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, there is a company that we can pay $4,000 a year. It's called Lexipol. Are you familiar with them, Paul? Okay, they will do the policies for the district. They will keep them up to date whenever an NFPA change comes in. And they will also test the members to make sure that they've read them.
Wow.
So that's an option, because if it's gonna take a year to review these policies and then they're up again to be reviewed, this might be an option to build into the budget to keep the policies current.
Well, let's use that as a last resort because that's just another $4,000 we have to spend. It's not a bad idea because they're professionals in the field,
Yes.
but I think,
Testing the members if
yeah.
they've read a policy, I'm
That's-
completely against that.
Yeah.
No, no, it's just part of their plan, but you know,
Yeah, I don't
I just
like it.
said that's part of, you know, that's part of their protocol. Does it count? No. But we already spent $3,000 and the policies are just sitting here.
all right, so we will get that up to Michael and his crew, his team, and see what he thinks needs to be changed. So anything else on old business? District policies, project update, I think we've said that. Okay, we have a permissive referendum.
That is what was approved in August. I just left it on here because the 30 days has passed.
But, okay, I was talking about the budget permissive referendum, or not permissive,
That's separate.
that's different, yeah. Where did I
This
put
was
that?
the one that was passed in August and was noticed and 30 days has passed.
Right,
So
right.
Money could be transferred at the board of searches.
I had that, I don't know what folder I put it in now. I'm sorry. Okay, so, new business, so we can discuss the adoption of the proposed budget for 2025. So this is the most current budget, Katie? Right here. Nice job. Did you send this out to all of us
Yes.
today? Okay, all right. So I was looking at my my line items.
Another one at the top here.
Yeah. You want to grab that? Ed? Yeah. So I was looking at my line items and I am quite a ways below my budget in spending money for trucks. And I'm surprised because I've spent a fair amount of money this year for trucks. Right now, I've spent 47% of my budget for trucks. No, I've spent 53%. I have 47% balance. And for communications, I've spent 13%. So I have 86% left, 86 plus decimal numbers. Now, I don't know who owns the telephones, like the data phones that we have in the chief's cars or the phones here in the house. Is that on you? Is that on the house?
I don't know myself.
Okay, so anyway, here it is. We've spent year to date 61.57% of the budget, which is $13,000. So we have 38.43% left, $4,900, $4,996 actually. So from my perspective, I think I'm under budget and I don't see myself going over budget. So I would say that if we can predict what the cost of living is and, you know, average costs going up, maybe I can add that to this for 2025. Because I don't think I'm gonna need to blow it out. Paul? Katie, first, have we added any money here for 2025 for purchase of new fire trucks? Is there anything, a line item for that?
There's a line item for it, but the money has not been transferred.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a transfer from operating to the trucks reserve, and that has not happened.
You're talking from 23 to 24 or 24 to 25? Maybe
It's
I'm
not a
not,
budget line item, just a bank transfer.
okay,
But it is in the budget to do that.
okay. I'm looking for it, where, capital reserve budgeted 200, okay. All right, building 205, yeah, I remember those numbers, okay.
Yeah.
Is that a good number for you, $200,000 to budget for yearly increases for truck?
It is what it is. I mean, I would keep it consistent to where things are for now.
Yeah.
We did put the project on hold with
Right.
regards to the tanker and the ladder, but obviously we're moving forward with the chief's vehicle. So that fits within that.
That's actually a different line. item.
Right, I know. That's
So
what I'm saying.
after
That
that
was,
transfer, there would be $2.1 million in the trust reserve bank.
Okay,
so I mean, I think the 200 is fine.
okay.
You know, to continue with. When it's my turn, I just have a couple of questions for Ms. Katie, who did a great job.
Yeah.
Helping me split out, make things consistent with,
Yeah, no,
making life easier. Tomatoes are now tomatoes.
Yay.
Now, for last year's budget, I had asked for $6,500 for some new, very specific new equipment. We added new equipment as a new line item this year. Do we know of that 6,500, how much was approved and what line item it's under? So this would have been what I requested in the fall of 2023 for this fiscal year.
Okay, well, if it was approved, then it was built into the budget.
Right, but I don't know where it is.
Oh.
Do you know
And
what
it's
I'm
for
saying?
new equipment, you're
Right.
saying? I don't know, I wouldn't know what line item it would have fallen in.
Because I just want to make sure that, you know, like we caught the transfer that was done last January was never done, though it was approved.
I mean, it
So-
would make most sense, I feel like, I know turnout here is different, but I would guess that's where Robin would have put it, I would think.
Well, see, the other part is,
Or
see, I don't know what,
materials and supplies, that's an account that, there's a $10,000 budget there. Well, I guess I could go and look what's getting put in there.
because I guess my other question is, I was never told what was approved versus what I asked for. So
Okay.
yes, I asked for 65, but I don't know if 65 was approved, so I can't go looking for it. Because, and again, the way the different budget line items were collapsed,
Right.
I don't know what was making each thing up.
Okay, well, I had put in a proposed budget transfer of $3,000 for this current year as well. Just at least to give you a, you know,
Give me a couple shekels.
yeah, exactly. And then next year, of course, I put in the 6,500.
Would you be okay with, if there's a few things that I do want to purchase before the year and that are not very specifically turnout year? I'll get the quotes and the prices. We'll see where it fits best to take it from. That's not gonna impact anybody else's line item. And then this way, I think we're gonna be in great shape for next year because we've got, you know, tomatoes where tomatoes go and stuff like that. So I think we'll line up better. It's just trying to catch up to how things were parked last year and if making sure we have the money. Because I don't want to spend what we don't have.
Sure.
But like, for instance, with uniforms, okay, we had knocked that number down last year. We're not going out and buying new uniforms, so I know I've got extra there, and that was a clear, specific line item, so.
Yes, and I did, adjust the budget after you shed some light on that first, budget transfer. So you have 20,000 in turnout gear.
Right, well, the turnout gear is gonna go pretty much down to zero by the
Okay.
end of the year,
Got
because that's budgeted to the penny to purchase 10 sets of gear, so.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I'll work with you directly on that. I mean, my numbers for this year, I came in a few $1,000s less than what I had asked for last year. So I just ask is if you're not approving exactly what I'm asking for, just let me know by
So you can
category
adjust yours.
what I have so I can track and make sure where I am.
Okay. Nancy, do you have any comments or what do you wanna
I do, just on the
preliminary?
workers' comp, I noticed Katie proposed for 2025. You cut 50 to 30, that's not a real number, it should be 50, because we will spend about $50,000 next year on workers' comp alone. So you have to add 20 into that.
Okay.
It
so
looks
I'm
like we are-
asking- I'm curious how it gets billed. The reason I came up with that number, I annualized what was spent, to come up with that number, but
Yeah.
I understand it doesn't get billed monthly, so.
It should, so, that's the other question I have, I don't know where those bills are going, it's New York State Insurance Fund. There should be two bills coming in here, one is about $3,800. That's workers' comp for the paid employees and the board. Then there's another one slightly under $400 a month for workers' comp coverage on the firefighters for parades and social events. So I just by looking at what's here, I mean, we're into September, we are missing invoices. So I don't know where they're going. But the real figure, it's about $4,000 a month. It's gonna go up a little next year, should be $50,000 for 2025. So you need to add 20,000 into that one. Also, just I don't know if it's gonna make a big deal, but, the hydrant rentals for Mount Pleasant, they have not billed us in the past couple of years. They have 12 hydrants for us that are, and they bill us at $100 per hydrant. So that's an extra $1,200, for hydrant rentals. So I don't know if what you have in there is all Newcastle, but, should add 1,200 if it's not, if you don't have any, fluff in there for.
No, I literally just, pulled that, I mean, I didn't pull it out of thin air. We had the conversation that there's gonna be more hydrants and if we pay.
Mike
108 last
Seldo
year,
should
just-
have that number. The ones in Chappaqua Crossings are not going online
Right,
until
yeah,
next
so
year
just double checking that.
or the
There's
year
no new
after.
hydrants added to Chappaqua Crossing in 2025. The East Village will come online in 2026, so that'll be a pretty substantial increase because of the number of hydrants.
How many?
Right,
I mean, there's probably 25 to 30 at least.
and they're expensive.
Yeah.
Newcastle's expensive per
There
hydrant.
are 3 new hydrants being added, for 2025 one on Pine Cliff, one on Meadow Lane, and one on Alden. So we'll have 3 more that'll be hitting us for 2025. So whatever the Newcastle rate is, we should just add 3 more.
Yeah,
So just to try to find some, of that 20,000, I just had to add back into workers' comp. You think I can take some out of that?
what hydrant rental?
Yeah,
Mike Seldo should have that number. The water department can tell you how much they bill per hydrant. But we need the number of hydrants, so I don't know how that.
Katie, I'll reach out to the water department just because we're up against deadlines with
Yeah.
getting this done, so I'll get the info from you.
that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay,
No
and the other
worries.
thing
Sure,
for
full service fire
the
department.
medical expenditures, we need to add another 1,500 in there for the mental well-being screening.
That's for the entire department?
Yes,
Okay, it's not per person.
no,
Okay.
no,
And so that's 1,500 you wanted to add to,
yes.
medical.
Well, so we have 14,640 left on the budget. Do you think we're gonna spend that?
Well, the physicals are in October,
Oh, okay,
so we'll be spending it in November.
okay, got it. So you want 17?
Yes.
on the-
Yes,
So this is, this is a new time frame for the, medicals? They're gonna be in October going forward, do you think?
It's been in October for the last 4 or 5 years.
I thought you had moved something, maybe I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
Physical.
Originally, they were in the spring, this is
Yep.
pre-COVID.
Yep.
And we moved them to the fall so we could tie it into flu shots.
Okay,
So we get everything at once. So I mean, we've been doing, so there's 1 year, 5 or 6 years ago, where we had 2 physicals in 1 fiscal year.
that's maybe what I'm thinking
And
of.
then we've been on the October cycle ever since. So we get
Okay.
90% of the members do come, and we've got a few folks who aren't able to make it that day who go in the appropriate time frame around there so that everyone is still on a 12-month cycle.
Katie, do you remember on this budget, do you remember, maybe it's in medical as well? I got a note from the eye place downtown. They want me to come in for a renewal of my eyes for being a driver. So is eye exams or are eye exams included in this? It's $100 per person per year that is a driver. Do you remember seeing that anywhere? Broken out?
No, I wouldn't know.
it should be in medical.
Yeah, how many drivers
You
do we
know
have
what,
in the
I can
department?
look
Paul?
at the expenditures from
Yes,
last
it's
year,
a-
though.
Dr. Pearlson,
We'll
$100.
take 10 or 12.
Okay, let's,
Probably.
so we need $2,000, 20, is, wait, 100 times 2 is 200 times, yeah, so it's $2,000. Yeah, if we had 20.
Right.
Right.
We don't have 12.
So, right, but let's say we did. So Katie, we've got to find about $2,000 for the eye exams, a little less than that really, but, I guess that would be under medical, I guess.
You don't think it was included in the budget?
It should.
I
be.
don't
mean,
know, but it should be.
I mean, Katie, it's something we do every year.
Yeah.
So I'm not,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be a new line item. It's probably just
Yeah,
hidden
eye
somewhere.
gallery of Chappaqua.
That's it.
Yeah,
3 to March 2nd, and then there was another one, October 23rd. And then another one.
They come in-
So it's in medical.
Yeah.
Okay,
expenditures.
good.
It's already there.
Okay, good, good,
Yeah.
good. Okay, Ed, do you have any comments on the budget? Do you have anything to do on it? Okay, you're happy with whatever you're, well, okay.
We
I
should
just wanted to
approve
comment
everything.
too on this, where we found the money, to do these budget transfers that are required for some of the overages we had this year. And they all came out of this capital outlay line item because there was $100,000 budgeted for that, but anything in that category should get paid out of the red checks. So that whole line item can be redistributed.
And what's in there right now?
Well, it was originally $100,000, but I have a proposed budget transfer of 73,000. And that's to cover Paul's stuff that was passed in January. And also, any of the overages, like, for example, the Mount Kisco fire protection was more than what was budgeted for. So,
What's that line item number?
8211.
Thanks.
So if we budgeted 96,000 and we had to pay out 108. So there was a shortfall of 12,000. So that's gotta come from somewhere. So I have it coming out of that.
that's Mount, Kisco protection, right?
Right.
Yeah, that was short.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
So what was that supposed to be used for though, that 100,000?
I have no idea.
So we should find out what that was supposed to be used for. It's a lot of money.
Well,
Um,
it can't get paid out of this budget anyway, because if it's a capital outlay for the project, it has to come out of the other.
The other
QuickBooks.
account, right?
Yeah,
But I wonder why it was there.
I don't know. I don't know.
Does anybody know? Cause that's a lot of money and,
Since it was there back in January, because that's where Robin approved moving, I'm wondering, could that have been money from the prior year that was swept into
this year,
that account for
That
overages?
Robin was
under-
around for that. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if that was Robin or Charlie.
Yeah, no, that was Robin back, cause that was January of the last year,
2024.
cause that was after the 2024 budget was approved. The very first meeting of the year, I saw where training and turnout gear had been cut. No idea it was being cut, so we had the conversation at the board level. You guys approved right away, replace those funds, and then just reading the description, Katie, on that email I forwarded you, I think it said the account that you referenced, so it
Correct.
must have had 100,000 in it back in January.
There
So
was, yes.
that's what I'm thinking. It might have been money that was swept over from the prior year. And then it was, because otherwise, where would you have found my 50 grand or whatever it was
Yeah.
to reallocate?
So, just a comment here, Katie, Robin is very amenable to, a phone call, so if you have any questions, she's,
I reached out to her.
Okay.
I don't think she is.
oh, really? She initially said she'd
And,
be,
and she was, and I had a meeting with her, but I think,
Okay.
you know, at some point, you know,
The
she's
ship
like,
sailed?
yeah, yeah.
okay,
And that's not to say, that she didn't say that, she just didn't respond to my text.
Ah,
And so I
okay.
presume she's, you know,
okay, all right, well,
done.
if
which
you
I don't
need,
blame her,
I'd be
you know.
happy to call her and see if we can strike up the conversation again, if you feel it's appropriate, whatever you want.
If you're concerned, I'm not, I mean, this
Okay.
money,
I'm not trying to step into your
Yeah.
ring here, that's fine, if you're not.
I have to say, I am concerned. It's $100,000. So if it could have been used or should have gone someplace else, that should have been done. So I think we need to find out what that $100,000 was for. Was it for something or was it left over? And then appropriately,
That's why I initially said I'd be happy to, reach out to her if that would be the appropriate thing.
I think
She
that would
has
be
the history,
appropriate.
she has more history on this than I certainly
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I think we should
Okay.
find out, please.
All right, I'll give her a call. Unless you want to do that, Christine, because you have a personal relationship.
I can.
All right, okay. That might be easier. Okay, any other, all right, so does anybody have any concerns about the way the budget's laid out right now? Because we could potentially approve this as a preliminary budget. And then, fine tune it when we hear back from, say, Robin and get some other input. Anybody
Just
have any
on the,
concerns?
you can add lines, right, Katie? Okay, so on the $10,000 increases for the project, for the salaries for the secretary and the treasurer, can you add like for example, a subline? I don't know what you want to call it, but just to show that those are expenses attributable toward duties performed for the project. And then those will go away at the end of the project,
That
correct?
was,
Once
that
that's
was the
done.
way it was set up. But
Right,
the
so-
extra increase, I'm sorry, the increase was to be given to those two employees because of the added workload.
If you recall, Robin was actually paying them out of. the
Exactly.
other
Yeah, that was a
account.
mistake.
Right,
But the auditor said that's a
Yeah,
no-no, so
right.
it has to come out of this budget,
Yep.
but sure, I can.
just
put
do a
little
subline so we can keep track of that.
Yeah.
Also, I had asked, and it's nothing personal, but I had asked you,
Yeah.
Dwight,
Mhm.
for an explanation, justification for those expenses.
Yep.
Something to put in the file, because there's nothing in there to show why those amounts have to be paid.
And I had reached out to Christine and I think it was too recent for her to dig in, so she needs a couple of days to dig in for the,
It was in the
boilerplate.
minutes at some
yeah, it's in the
point.
minutes.
It
but
just
she
says,
hasn't done for it.
right, I had gone back and it just says, compensation, in the amount of $10,000. There's no job description per se in there. I realize it's
Yeah,
gonna be
there
more work.
wasn't one.
Correct. So I'd like that, the district to
Yeah,
have
do
that
that.
somewhere.
Yeah.
So we know what the duties are, why the amount is being paid, and make sure that that's being done.
So I think maybe the first pass at that, to get to your point, might be to ask Katie and especially Christine, because they are doing more work than they would normally do without the project being
Understood.
undergoing.
but-
So just 1 second. So if they were to say, this is the above and beyond that we're doing that justifies that 10,000, and we can add to that. We can make the
Right.
narrative better. you
But
know?
as the board, you should also have the duties.
No argument, no argument.
Okay, so you know what I'm saying? Just, you have a job description. So with these additional duties, you should have an expected listing of what
Yep.
should be done. And then, of course, as things come up, they can be added, but just justifying the additional
Yeah.
salary that's
So-
being paid.
Would you two be able to give a job description of what you're currently doing for us
Sure.
and the additional duties you're doing based upon the project?
Sure.
All right, and that might be a first pass at getting this narrative for you,
So.
Well, for the
there's-
board,
for the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's also a budget transfer proposed there as well, because, I'm not sure why, if the new wages started last year, I don't know why they didn't get budgeted for in Christine's line, but they weren't, so.
I think it's because it was originally charged to capital.
Oh,
That's probably why.
Right, there you go. So, yeah, we need a budget transfer there as well to finish out.
All right, is that something we have to resolve, resolution?
Meeting,
Okay,
Okay.
yeah,
All right,
just so we can put it together.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right, you two can collaborate and come up with something.
sure.
Okay, talking about the salaries, Katie's been doing a fantastic job. I think we can all agree that her output paperwork is, and the fact that she's got all these checks prepared and ready for us, rock and roll here, it's great. So, I would like to make a motion that we take her off of probationary and, up her salary based upon this topic we just had of the, $10,000 increase for the length or duration of the project, per year. So I would like to have a motion for that, to bring her up to what Robin was getting, when we started this project and all this work
I
going
make a
on.
motion that, she be paid what we agreed,
Okay.
several months ago.
Yeah,
In fact, going back when, the project first started, we realized that how much extra work was
Yeah.
involved. So I make a motion that she be paid what we agreed to
and take off
Yeah.
probation.
and take our probation.
Okay. Nancy, would you second that?
I will, as long as it's a budgeted amount, yes.
Okay. All right, we'll make sure that is, okay,
And for cheap seats, I completely agree. The information that I'm getting is what I've been asking for 6 years.
I
What's
think,
the number?
oh, the,
Minutes.
It's prorated to 10,000 per month, whatever it is. for the
Not
rest
per
of the
month.
year. I
not-
mean, sorry,
Per
per
year.
year,
yeah,
per month.
yeah,
What is it, sorry?
It's 10,000 per year divided by 12, so whatever that is.
Total salary, what, just for, it's 30,000?
30,000.
It's
35.
35. I believe her annual salary
Yeah.
is 35.
35.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mary. Okay, all right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. So carried, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
We appreciate everything you're doing. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay,
I'm sorry, can I just have one quick
Sure,
question?
please.
Water purchases, 8222, is that my water that I get, that Owen gets, the water and Gatorade?
5-gallon jugs or the individual?
I don't know.
Water purchases.
Katie?
8222?
See what's in there. I'm just
If it's, there should be, if you go back a few months, like maybe 5 or 6, if there's a, if,
NCSWD, Newcastle Water Department. Oh, it's
Oh, that's the
Oh,
water
water
bill.
bill.
That's
Yeah,
the water bill
that's,
here. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
okay,
No, I'm just looking, because we take the water and Gatorade out of my discretionary.
That's in the.
Yeah, that's on the-
Yeah, and I'm kind of wondering, I mean, that's part of rehab, that's part of operations, and that's just, all right, don't worry.
while we're on the budget, would you like to make a suggestion as to how better to do it?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's where I was looking to see where it comes. I mean, we've got, looking at some of the other line items for this year, I'm comfortable that we can move stuff around, so I'm not overly concerned. I just happened to see a line item that was specific to water. I was like, oh, maybe that's my water.
So before we approve the budget, can you two collaborate if you have any?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. We're besties.
We go way back.
Exactly.
Okay, all right, so,
Take her out.
would we take her to Millwood? Okay, so would we like to approve this as a preliminary first pass budget? And then we can tweak it as the time comes. And we have a deadline of the 24th, was it, Christine?
So the proposed budget needs to be filed with the towns by the 24th.
Right.
And that's really just the tentative, and then the final budget gets discussed at the public
Okay,
hearing and
September
it's adopted
24th.
thereafter.
We're over the 2% cap. All right, here's my 2 cents on that. Speaking of two, the school district turned down their budget originally because it was over the 2%. I think we need to live within the 2% because we just asked the voters to pass a $15 million budget. And now we're asking them to approve. I know it's not a lot. We really need to live within the 2% cap, my feeling. So,
First of all, there's a growth factor and it's comes straight from the OSC website.
right,
I put in what we spent last year and they tell me how much is my allowable levy for this year.
mhm,
And that was 2.63%.
right,
Okay, but on top of that, our debt service is $800,000. So our budget is gonna go up 50% this year. And so we,
so how much over are we?
the levy limit is 1.675
Mhm,
and we're gonna be 891,000 over that levy limit,
right,
or 53%.
So because of the debt service, no matter what we do, individual line items, we're gonna be over the budget,
Correct.
over the cap, no matter what. Just
And
mathematics.
so I did break it out though, to balance the budget based on, actually, I knew the 2% was important to you, so that was the number I backed into. If you look at the top, that's the 1.664. And so I balanced the budget according to that. And then tacked on the debt service.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Katie.
Yeah.
The bond issue that we had voted on, the township voted on, that is this 800 that you're adding at the bottom here,
Correct.
860.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's been a voted thing. The town has already approved that. It's just that we have to wrap it into our existing.
We have to levy it,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
all right, well, that makes more sense,
Yeah.
because I wasn't, I'm looking
It's
at
not a
it.
surprise.
No, I understand
Yeah.
that, but, I just would like to be a good,
Conservative, yeah, a
Absolutely.
steward
Sure.
of
yes,
the funds.
right, as long as there's an explanation in case somebody comes out and asks. The budget for 2025, the way I look at it, is conservative. We did not raise anything, with regard to our, responsibilities, Charles and I. So looking at it that way, and I did, go for the pension, for the LoSAP, we did lower it because we don't have as many members in there anymore. I'm just gonna say if there's any fluff anywhere that somebody, would take a second look at their budget, if we can lower it a little bit. We may be able to lower Mount Kisco protection if we're paying for EMS service.
Yeah, that's right.
Insurance, you cannot touch. So with that explanation, then, I'm okay with it.
All right, so again, this being a preliminary, and we will be able to massage it down the road, but would we be willing to approve this as a preliminary budget for 2025? I'd like to have somebody make a motion in that regard.
Paul, is $65,000 could be enough for turnout here with it is?
Yeah, the coat and pants are 54,000 for 10 sets. And then the helmet, boots, we're able to, not everyone needs all of those. We do have some residual,
Correct.
hoods and stuff like that. And we did just order the surplus I had from inspection. We're using to kind of stockpile hoods and things like that for new members. That's like when John Maduris was here to go get gear for the new kids, we have hoods to give them right away, so they're not using somebody's old one.
And in line with that, with the landscaping and snowplow contracts, we've saved a lot of money with that too. So we've really lived within our means, and I just really would ask everyone to apply for any kind of grant they can. I don't know if Dwight
There
or
was-
Ed, you've done any, but I think the entire board needs to go out there and start looking for money.
There was a communications grant that I was looking at, but two reasons. One, it had expired by the time I saw it, and also I don't see any big expenditures for communications equipment that we are looking for.
I'm actually gonna ask, Mike with his law enforcement background, one of the things from the conversation we had last night at Westchester Chiefs with regards to active shooter and protective equipment for firefighters who are part of the rescue task force going into warm zones, which by definition are still potentially, could become a hot zone very quickly, to see what funds are available for, body armor, things like that, that might be needed, so.
Yeah, I mean, grants are a great resource and there's money
Sure.
there, so
Absolutely. And you've done some good work there too, in that regard.
thank you.
Yeah, very good. All right, so again, could I get a motion to approve this as a preliminary budget for 2025? Somebody make the motion.
I'll
please.
make a motion to approve
Okay.
the Newcastle Fire District #1 proposed 2025 budget.
And with the stipulation that we have some documentation on the work
Yes, I'd like documentation on the job,
description.
extra job duties for the $20,000.
Okay,
And the amount of the proposed budget is,
Did the number change?
did it change for the 50?
Did you want me to change the, insurance number?
Yes, that has to be changed.
Gotcha. So let me just, I have to find somewhere to pay for that. So give me just 2 minutes.
Oh, we will put the mattress and buckles.
What's that?
so while we're doing this, Ed, would you be willing to second Nancy's motion?
I just want-
With
we
the
should put
exception
the-
of the $10,000.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Okay,
yes.
with that change, and
Yes.
her comments about
Yes.
boilerplate, okay.
We just, when Katie finishes, just the total amount of the
Yeah.
budget.
I'm gonna take it out of the auto reserves because that was, I had increased.
Be real careful, we're gonna be spending probably everything in there right now on this new vehicle.
No, the auto reserves, which was $11,000, just a transfer.
Yeah, and that 11,000 brings us up to 72, 74. I forget, and that's money earmarked for our new
Yeah,
chief's vehicle.
With that, it'll be 74.
Yeah, so that's gonna be earmarked for our new chief's vehicle. The vehicle alone is in the $52,000 range.
I'm just saying for the next year, I can put $45,000 in
Okay.
the budget for that, so I'm gonna reduce it
Okay,
by 6,500.
That would make sense, because I don't think we would be purchasing a new
Another
chief's
one.
vehicle next
yeah,
year.
but as long as we have
Yeah.
an input for it for the
Yes.
next year.
And also before you adjourn, you've got the other
Here.
two applications, Control did approve them.
Okay.
So we can get moving.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, right.
Okay, so, do you want total expenses or the amount we are
The-
plan to levy?
Yes, the budget planned budget for,
2,544,949.
So I saw Reese, and I see Covillo. Is there another one?
yeah, right
Yes,
here.
Joan.
Oh, I didn't see the two files there. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. Okay, okay. All right. So, yeah, I know, I'm about to do that. So Nancy, you made a motion. Ed, you seconded it.
Yes.
Are you okay with Nancy's amendment?
Yeah.
Dollar value? Nancy, you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor of approving this as a preliminary 2025 budget, as a starting point to be finished, in October, what's the October date?
October 15th will be the budget.
Good. Okay, all right, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Thank you. So this is approved as a preliminary first pass. Okay, let me just change up what we are talking about next, and we have two applicants for membership in the fire department. One is William Covello. He's age 16. He lives within the fire protection district, and his parent and guardian has approved this, and he's been investigated by his prospective company Let me go to the next one. We can vote on them together. The next one is Sam Jones.
Yes.
Okay. He's 16, lives within the fire protection district, 725. Okay. His parent or guardian has approved it, and he's passed the fire and arson background check, and he has been interviewed by his company. Both are going into patrol. Yes, both are going into patrol. So I'd like to have a motion that we follow proper procedures for both of these individuals
And
to
I
become new
met
members.
with the parents and the applicants for all of the high school students to make sure that we're all on the same page. It's not just the kids coming in and saying, "Hey, mom, sign this."
Yeah, okay. So I'd like to get a motion and a second to approve those members to follow proper procedures to become members of the Chappaqua Fire Department.
Make the motion
For both?
for both.
Thank you. Ed?
I approve, I second the motion
Okay.
to approve.
Very good. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Thank you. They are approved. So those go to,
Yes, and then once, Christine signs them, I'll take all 3 applications back, enter them into red alert so that they're officially part of our books and records, and then I'll give the files back to Commissioner Zenzig for safety.
okay. Okay, so we have 2 small-ish items right now. One is we have to schedule a budget work session and a budget public hearing session for the 2025 budget. So does anybody have any preferred dates between now and September 24th? Anybody have any time available? We can meet again and fine tune our budget.
Doesn't need to be between now and September 24th. You have to have it now and October.
October.
I'm sorry, I said the wrong date. Yeah, right. Okay, so we need another date. We could potentially do this at our next meeting, but we may want to do this a little sooner.
The next meeting falls after.
So we have to do it before. Okay, so I don't have my calendar right in front of me. Does anybody have a preferred date in October or later in September to meet?
I think we should wait till Charlie and Mike.
Okay, all right, let's do that.
Poll them that way.
We can poll them via email. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that. All right.
We could do it maybe after the next inspection meeting, the Monday inspection meeting.
OACM,
Yeah,
That's- I mean, that's
close.
very close.
yeah.
You probably
Yeah.
want to have a session. then.
Yeah, gotcha.
A little
So
bit.
maybe earlier, a couple of weeks earlier in the October, early October, I guess, would be a good time to shoot for. Okay, so let's bring that up. Christine, when you publish the minutes of tonight, can you kind of highlight somehow that we have to have another meeting for the budget and set a public hearing date? All right, the Dropbox discussion for our documents. Christine, or you and Katie want to talk to that?
Katie?
Yeah, I'm happy to, because I'm kind of the one who's passionate about it. I just would enjoy a cloud-based storage system. The problem with, the server that we're using now, you need to have a client on the device that you're using.
Like a cell phone or my PC
Yeah,
or something?
So in order to log on, you have to have an app. And it has to be installed on this device, so I can only use this device to work, which is a little antiquated. So, and if we had a Dropbox and we were all using it, there would just be more transparency. And people would be able to look at policies and collaborate more freely. So that's something I would like to do. I did talk to Vincent, our IT guy, about it, just on the off chance he had some other solution. He said he really doesn't do that sort of stuff, and he was a fan of Dropbox, so I feel like it's a great solution. It integrates into your file manager, so you can work very easily. It's just a super awesome tool. You can
Okay.
share files easily, you know.
So you, for a given file, let's say for these, this agenda, if I put it up there, I can share a file with somebody outside the board. And I can ensure that other people that I don't share it with are not necessarily seeing it.
That's right. You
Okay.
can copy it, a link and say only people who have this link
Yeah.
are allowed to view it, or you can protect it only to an email address. There's lots of ways, different ways you can share it.
Can it be, if I share a document with you or Barry, can Barry take that and share it with somebody else?
Yes, but that's always gonna be the case, you know, if somebody sends you a PDF, you're gonna be able to forward it to somebody, you know. the other thing that's really, I think important that we do as an organization is get the files online digitally and have a naming convention that everybody knows, so that if you're looking for something, we all know how to look for it. It's whether it be an invoice from 4 years ago or somebody does a FOIA, everything should be accessible here, and we shouldn't have to come here, you know?
And it's accessible, it would be for the commissioners and you and Christine, but it would not be accessible directly by outsiders, members outside the fire district.
You could make a folder with
Yes,
documents
right.
in it and
That
give
was my
that
next
to
question.
somebody from the outside,
Yeah.
which is often the case,
Mhm.
because sometimes files are too large to email.
Okay,
So there'll be no paper files.
not
No,
necessarily.
I do everything in duplicate. Like,
Okay, good, 'cause
I'm keeping-
I've asked for that, and I know I've met pushback, but I think that the district files should be in the district office in a way where you could take them.
And I,
You know, look at
I'm
them.
not, I would never say that's a crazy idea, of course, that's fine, but
Well,
it's just as important
I think
to
you,
have them digitally, so you don't have
So
to.
they're
come
preserved.
here.
right,
So
well, I
that's
think
good.
you ran into the same problem I did, because looking at the contracts for Mount Pleasant, for example, fire protection, we had to ask them for copies of the contracts, because they're not in there, and that
crazy.
is awful, period.
It's crazy.
Same thing with Mount Kisco. The last file, I think, was 2000, contract was 2020 or 22. And it's embarrassing where you have to go and ask who, an agency that we're contracted with for the copy of the contract. So I really do want hard copies in the office, period.
Okay,
And Dropbox and SharePoint is another product that they're great for collaboration. They're great for sharing information to individuals that you need their input to update something. Not just strictly view, you can set it up as read only, so you're just gonna peruse this document, see what it's about. Or if it's a spreadsheet that I need, Dwight, do me a favor, throw your budget numbers into the spreadsheet. It can also be used from that perspective, and it tracks who made the changes to what, and they're instantaneous. So as soon as you enter a number, Katie logs on to SharePoint, I use SharePoint, but it's the same principle. She sees that you changed that from $1 million to $2 million right then and there. So it's very good from a collaborative perspective as well.
and Dropbox is similar?
Yeah.
Okay, I've stopped using Dropbox in favor of another platform, but I'm comfortable with Dropbox. Do you have any familiarity with that?
No.
You?
I've used Dropbox in the past.
All right. So how much is Dropbox? How does it price out?
Well, so Christine and I did talk about this, if we had, all 7, that's 5 commissioners, and she and I think it was 14, actually, I'm right here. Yeah, $1,260 a year.
That's for full access read, write?
Correct.
Okay.
But we were kind of had the hunch, maybe not, we didn't need that many users, just because you can share the files, so. You know, a few members, probably like Mike, probably won't need it or use it, right? So,
You can still view everything, you just wouldn't be uploading.
Have the
your own.
permissions to upload.
yeah,
And if you didn't have a permission to upload, you'll be able to download everything. I mean, any one of the 7 of us can download anything we want, I'm asking.
yes,
But you just wouldn't necessarily have the ability to upload.
correct.
Okay. I think what we ought to do is not hold it necessarily in advance, but tentatively see if we want to do this. I think it's probably not a bad idea. I'd love to upload stuff that I have, because right now I have no access upstairs to the server.
Yeah.
I would love to have some place where I can upload stuff, and from there we can print it as needed. But I think maybe what we ought to do is talk to Charlie and Mike and see what their preference is on what level of permissions they want. At this moment, I would love to be able to drop stuff up there, and I don't know,
There's shiny new iPads to access.
certainly, whatever, you know, if we
Is
have.
there with that $1,400 a year?
Sorry, it's 1260.
The 1,200, what type of maximum
It's 9
storage? does it need?
terabytes.
Okay.
That's a lot.
That's pretty good.
Definitely.
That's pretty good.
Business version.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Okay. All right, do we want to vote on this now or wait for Charlie? I'd like to make a
I
move on
have
this.
an email from Charlie saying, I'm all for it,
Oh.
let's automate,
Okay,
yeah.
I
don't know if
have
that
a-
counts.
I have a
When he's not here,
suspicion
but-
that Mike is too. I don't know how computer savvy, well, I know Charlie's pretty savvy. I just don't know how computer savvy Mike is. So why don't we vote on that? And if we can bring it down for the number of seats, actual, full user seats, maybe it'll be 1,000, maybe it'll be less if we get it down to 4. Are you likely to upload things too?
It's possible.
Drawings, I mean, I'd love to see them digitized.
You could always adjust it, you can adjust it like.
That's
On the
true.
fly?
We can always add
Okay,
at will.
okay. So Nancy, are you interested in uploading things?
I probably won't, but I would like to have access to it.
You'll definitely have access as a,
I know,
Yeah,
I know,
those are
and I
things.
think Mike should have, should have.
I think we should
Might
start
as
with the
well
whole
just
thing.
do this.
Yeah, let's do the whole
I
thing.
would do it.
Let's do the whole thing, and if we feel like backing down because somebody's not
You can-
comfortable with it, then we
Yeah.
can back it down. It's gonna save us a
It
few
tells
bucks.
you if it's
Yeah.
not being used.
Yeah, okay, so why don't we make a motion on that? I don't know who made the last initial
Yeah, so-
motion,
I make a motion that we use Dropbox.
and for how many seats? 7?
Yeah, I would
Okay.
do that.
All right, Nancy, do you have a second? on that?
Second.
Okay, I'd like to ask for a vote on that, for using Dropbox for our online cloud-based storage using Dropbox and buying initially 7 seats. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Thank you. Katie, can you help us set it up and whether we use, I don't know if we're gonna have to, I know we don't use VPN in this application, but we will. Is there any token that we need to have on our machine or just pass username and password? Okay,
It's actually just a website,
Yeah.
and you can download the app, so it's on your
Okay.
desktop, which,
Have it on
or
your phone.
even.
Yeah,
it
I used
connects
to.
to Your file manager, which is really nice.
all right, so if there's
anybody
any,
wants help to,
yeah, if there's any documentation that would get us rolling, maybe you can download something and
sure.
send it to us somehow outside of Dropbox so we can get to it.
I'll just send you to the website, that's
Okay.
really the best way to do
If
it.
we have questions,
Sorry.
we can reach out to you.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we did that, okay, public comments.
Sure.
Really?
Actually, half the stuff I had was discussed already, but a few things. I did ask you for the contact person for the town who's overseeing this project.
Oh, I thought it was Nancy that asked that.
No, I didn't.
The emails are screwed up.
Yeah, I should say.
Since I went to a new computer.
Oh, okay, all right.
Is it Tom DePoli?
It's Tom, hang on 1 second, just bear with me 1 second. I gotta find the folder. I think it's right here. I don't. Bear with me.
For some
Okay,
reason, when I
it's
send the
Robert
email, it pops up.
Cioli.
Don't send emails.
What?
No, I'm talking to him.
Okay, it's Robert Cioli and Thomas
Is the guy
DePaul.
overseeing this project?
Not overseeing it, it's our construction manager that's overseeing it, our project
Those are
manager.
the town.
Those are the town liaison or engineers and building engineers.
The town
Yeah.
engineer, the
Yeah.
pole is the building,
Okay.
is
Yeah.
the building inspector, and Robbie's the farmer.
But
All right,
that,
thanks.
they're outside of our construction manager.
Okay, I still have not there's some questions I have not received answers on. There are 2 outstanding FOIL requests that have not been addressed. I did contact the Department of State. They responded back to me and I will follow up with them on that.
Okay.
As you remember, I did ask a bunch of questions before the plans were approved. It took 3 months to get a response, which I think is ridiculous. And honestly, if I went down to the town or a village municipal government and asked for FOILs and asked for information, I think there'd be some serious issues in taking 3 months to get back to me, regardless of the reason.
Just off the top of my head, or out of your head, what was a foil, one of your foils, do you remember? Just out of curiosity.
I could, there were several of them, but I'll get back.
If you can send them to me, send them to the address of the board, BOFC.
Your response will be when?
Can't answer that, gotta figure out where the information is
Less than
located.
3 months?
I can predict that it will be, apparently.
I also brought up several months ago, the issue came up about employment and residence. I asked if there was any provision in New York State law or any guidelines, and you were pretty adamant saying there isn't any, actually there is.
What,
And I
in
will
regard to
follow
what?
What?
In regard to what employment?
Purchasing officer, treasurer, and secretary. So I will follow up with on that. I need some clarification that was not there. Let me just get my. Two of the things, I'd like to know the status of the engineering report. on the Bedford Road Firehouse Meeting Room. That had been discussed a year and a half, 2 years ago. With the idea that all the exercise equipment is moved, so there's gonna be a problem with the floor. And again, I said to you, I know the plans are here, and we also have a file inside the office. At one time, I had photographs of the floor and the addition of 70-something being built. So I think that was available.
So to just add information for you, at this point, we're not planning on selling Center Street, so there's no plan right now to move the weightlifting equipment. So it's kind of moot to ask for an engineering report, spend more money on that. We could certainly do it, but at this moment, I don't think we need to because we're not moving it.
I know the discussion came up about the floor or basement of Center Street Firehouse. There is a file somewhere about what was done to the floor of Center Street Firehouse and the piping that was extended through the floor.
Yeah.
And why that was done. And I think if you ask the commissioner who did that, he'd give you some good answers if anything comes up about it.
So your question about that is what?
Nothing, it's just that the information is
No.
available.
Okay, yeah, from my recollection, I wasn't a commissioner then, but what I remember is when that was done, quite a number of years ago, is what do you call it?
Where's the crawl space?
It was a crawl space with steel and then diagonals back and forth, and they were rotted out. They were basically falling apart and the floor was gonna collapse. So we had the floor, and I'm sure you're aware, we had the floor drilled and they poured a non-expanding concrete, very special non-expanding concrete.
Right.
So the floor wouldn't expand in the
Minimal.
curing process, minimal.
Right, we did hire an engineer.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And those two lines, as I recall, those two copper wire pipes that come up near the front door to the stairs were for the potential addition of a radiator by the front door.
There was a radiator there that was taken out years ago.
I don't remember that.
I actually put those in.
Good, so what's,
I'm just saying, there is information available.
okay,
If the question comes up and you're gonna sell it or anything else.
yeah,
It comes up about the floor.
good. We'll need your information there, your guidance.
What else did I have? I think that's pretty much it. Oh, the last thing was, first of all, I think we need to address whether Carlos is a good neighbor or not, based on a lot of his comments in the past. I think that we should look into it. Second point about the trees, a number of years ago, we had a Congressman representative here. I think he was doing some training or something, and he did look at the line adjacent to the substation over there. And I remember him calling one of his operations guys because they were concerned about the trees falling on the substation and everything else. And I guess nothing ever happened from that, but there was contact with Con Edison, and they did follow up on it, and I guess a lot of the limbs in the tree didn't look that good or safe. And the feeling was if it hit the substation, we'd have some issue. So I don't know if there's ever a follow-up on that.
What time frame was that in, Barry?
Again, they've already looked at the trees that have to come down, they've been marked and they've been approved, it's
Okay.
anything beyond that's a moot point.
I'm just mentioning that.
Okay,
Okay.
anything else? Any other comments, Owen? Nothing? Okay, thank you. Okay, so, future dates. A project special meeting will be held October 14th, 2024 at 6 P M. Budget work session and public hearing October 15th, 2024. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October 17th, 2024 at 6:30 P M. Email any questions and concerns for the board's consideration for any meeting to BOFC@NCFD1.org. Katie, before we adjourn, are you, if I see, maybe Christine knows, if I send an email to BOFC, does that include Katie? It does, great, okay, because I've been adding her, I don't have to do that, great, okay, thank you. Okay, anybody have any other comments, before we
Well, I
adjourn?
do, but you won't appreciate it. So I should hear from you by Friday, the 27th about the policies?
Write it down, I'll even
Yeah.
sign it.
Okay, I just want to make
I
sure.
want to mention too, I'm sure you guys saw the email, but our bonds were sold today,
Yeah.
3.82%, which is not crazy. So that was a win.
Yeah, very good, yeah, progress. Okay, anything else, Ed, you want to bring up? Anything else? Okay, all those in favor of an adjournment, raise your hand, or I guess, let's say,
I make a motion
I'd like
to
to get a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Thank you, we are adjourned, thank you.